we might respond in faith. Amen. I went to my garage yesterday and I picked up one of these, and we can all see that it's a hammer for driving home nails. And you may be wondering what on earth a hammer could have to do with our reading this morning. Well, there's an approach to sharing faith that can be a bit like a hammer, just sort of whack people with the message and then hit them again and again until they're crushed into submission. It may be called evangelism, but it's got very little to do with the good news. Who likes to be hit over the head with a hammer? Now, St. Paul was in a sticky situation. He was required to explain his faith before the Athenian elders in a sort of court that authorized the worship of new gods. His approach has much to teach us about sharing our faith. First, he makes connections. Paul starts his defense by commending his interrogators. I see how extremely religious you are in every way. And this is a conclusion that he's reached as a result of being with the Athenians, of observing their way of life. He picks up on a fine detail, one altar with a short inscription to an unknown God, and starts to explain the gospel from there. As he does so, he continues to make connections. At one point, Paul even quotes a Greek poet as part of his argument. Paul's habit of making connections invites us to think about how God reveals himself to all people everywhere, regardless of culture or religious conviction. The Christian gospel points to Jesus Christ, of course, but our sharing of the gospel should account for God having already revealed something of himself. How will we do that intentionally and seriously here in our part of Cornwall? Second, Paul offers challenges. He stands in the Areopagus, which sits at the bottom of a hill. Some of you may have visited Athens. And on top of the hill is an enormous building, the Parthenon, the dwelling place of the patronal god of Athens. And Paul is bold in his challenge to the religious beliefs of the Athenians, rejecting both pantheism and materialism. He says that their poets already recognize these challenges and concludes that God cannot be something crafted by people in gold, silver, or stone. Now, we're probably not tempted to worship in this way, but modern people might be challenged by Paul's observation that God is beyond human imagination. Have we too small an idea of God? Finally, Paul presents Jesus Christ. He starts with a general comment about the God who made all things. In him we live and move and have our being. But this God is known in Jesus Christ. Our reading from the Gospel of John highlights the identification of Jesus and the Father. And it is the resurrection that is key. We're still in the season of Easter, the time when we celebrate and remember the resurrection. And Paul declares that it is this that gives assurance to all people of the truth of the gospel. The Nicene Creed affirms the essential place of the resurrection for Christian faith. We look for the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. May it be central to our hope and the hope that we share with others. So when we speak with our friends and neighbours about our faith, St. Paul offers a model to imitate. Rather than bashing away as if we're using a hammer, let us make connections, offer challenges, and present Jesus Christ. Amen.